It's Cyclone Sunday with Ben Bruns. Breaking everything down from the Channel Seed Studios. This is Iowa Everywhere.
Welcome into Cyclone Sunday here on Iowa Everywhere in the Channel Seed Studios. I am Aiden Wyatt, joined as always by Ben Bruns. Iowa State committed murder today against Arkansas State. I mean, it got ugly. We'll get into things. Bruns, first thoughts on the game.
Well, you're right. It was just a beatdown. And I think if you think about the importance, and we talk about all the time, everybody talks about it, the importance of quarterback play, it was very obvious. A team that has at least two really good quarterbacks against a team that doesn't. And, Iowa State took advantage of some big mistakes, but also really asserted themselves and put their will on Arkansas State today. And in a way that as an offensive lineman, you love, right? Because super balanced run pass look. The tight ends were ridiculously good in this game, and particularly in the run game. But, I think running backs across the board. And then, we were talking before we started the defense, the way they've played really since the second half of actually, you can go all the way back. I mean, I think the whole Iowa game, that defense played really good football. So this is a darn good football team right now against, a clearly overmatched football team in Arkansas State.
Let's start on the defensive side. I want to talk about linebackers first.
Yeah, man.
Guys like Cooper Ebel, Jacob Ellis, Cale Berzina. Three young guys are flying around the field, playing some great football right now. And I know Iowa State's a little thin at linebacker, so it took some certain situations for them to all be on the field at the same time. But, man, I think this linebacking crew is special. What do you think?
I think so, too. The part that is interesting to me, as an O-line, D-line guy, it's like you can't even figure out who's making the play and how. Like, where did that guy come from? Our defense as an offensive lineman would be so frustrating to play against because, you go to take that down lineman. The way offensive line is meant to be played, you start at the first level. You start by blocking the D-line, and then you climb to the second level when they commit to the line of scrimmage. The problem is that when you play Iowa State, all guys are coming from angles all the time. They're not coming from, just a straight downhill look at you. And so you might get that defensive lineman blocked. You might get him moved out of the hole. But then there are three guys filling from different angles. And I just think that's part of the brilliance of it. I think it's taken some time for this group to run fit. We go back to week one and the evolution of that. It's really special. And, for young guys like that to be out there playing, I mean, you said it, man. That's these guys are just like erasers, and to be five linebackers down right at one point, and be in this place where we can play this good a defense, I think says a ton, and I think it says a lot about the defensive line playing ahead of them too. Those guys have been really, really good.
Yeah. What do you think of Kennard Snyder today? Had a big sack. I thought this was kind of his first game where we're like, yeah, he might be the real deal.
For sure. I thought he was outstanding. And, he showed up early in the game. I thought there were some other guys that I really liked, Isiago. I thought Jones played great. Moving Dominic Orange to that 4 technique spot has sort of opened the world for everybody else in this defensive line because, Singleton is good enough to play that nose spot, and he and Orange are both taking a lot of reps on that starting defensive line. And with those guys doing that, now you can start to rotate other guys on the other side, and it's just really, really, really effective. But Iowa State, I've said it for years. I just think the world of our defensive coaching staff, and that D line's getting coached, and they get coached like crazy.
Yeah. Before we flip it over to offense, we do need to credit the third unit of the defense that we haven't touched on yet. The defensive backs gave up 9 to 23 completions today for only 118 yards, 2 picks, and a garbage time touchdown. They continue to wow us. I think.
Phenomenal. I mean, you could just see the Arkansas State quarterbacks not know what to do with the ball, right? First guy's out there, he's trying to make plays, and so he goes ahead and tries to fit it in windows, and guess what? Pick, right? And then the second guy comes out, he's just paralyzed. Like there's nowhere to go with the football because you can't. All these lanes that you try to throw through, there's always somebody who has leverage on them, and Iowa State might experiment with some other things in terms of the defensive alignment, but we're so good at this 3-3-5. I think
if it ain't broke,
it's definitely not broke, and very few teams have cracked the code with any consistency when Iowa State has been completely healthy in the back end. And so, you think about those three safeties back there, those guys can play.
Yeah, I think that's three NFL guys back there for Iowa State. Offensively, let's start with Rocco Becht. It was kind of a tale of two games for him. I think his first 9 passes, he was 4 for 9 or something.
Yep.
Comes out, goes 7 for 9 on his next 9 throws. What do you take away from Rocco today?
Well, I just, it's they were pressuring him a little bit early, and I think he handled it well, right? I mean, we expect the world of Rocco because he's proven himself over and over again to be, really effective. He started a little bit slow, but as he got in the rhythm of the game, he just took it over, right? And, as the running game got established, those tight ends were able to really force the point of attack. One of the things I love about what we're doing offensively right now, we're doing a lot of different formation stuff with the tight ends, but where we're really effective is 2 tight ends to one side, and then a counter back to the other side, or maybe even a little power back that way. The gap run scheme is really, really working. And so as all that stuff gets going, and it takes a little bit of time, right? You see the defense have to start to try and game it. And because the run game was so good today, and we've been in a position where the run game hasn't been good enough to do this, but now we're in a position where the run game is good enough that, the defense has to try and stop the run first, and then the pass opens up. And that's an evolutionary step that should not be lost on Cyclone fans. And I realize that Arkansas State's not a great run-stopping team. But this offensive line and tight ends are doing things that allow you in an RPO setting to see that strong safety step up for a hot second. And then, you hit the post route to Higgins for a touchdown. That's basically, it's wide open. It's wide open because Higgins is just so much better than the corner, right?
Yeah.
And it happens because he has no underneath or over the top sort of help. And I think Rocco knows the system, and he's running the system extraordinarily well.
Yeah. Cyclone Sunday here on Iowa Everywhere. Ben Bruns, Aiden, Wyatt. We saw a plethora of running backs today. Jalen Jackson, I think, kind of came on. I mean, you're going to tell your kids about the Carson Hansen game after today. 9 carries, 58 yards, 2 touchdowns. Them getting more carries than Abu Sama, do you think that means anything in the long run, or was it just kind of, we can give Abu the day off a little bit?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of that. I mean, what's fun to me is the fact that, all of these guys can catch it out of the backfield. They can all protect, but, they have different gears, right? And, you think about getting to that edge and bouncing that thing outside, or, stuffing it back up inside. I thought Lee, when he came in, he had a chance to bounce a play outside, and he didn't. He stuffed his foot and came up inside and went for 8 yards right up the middle where the play was designed to go. And usually young running backs will try and take that thing and bounce it out. So it's not normal to have this many guys getting this many carries, right? It's just a different way of approaching it. But I think it's brilliant, and I think it's the guys are handling it really well. And Matt talked about it afterward. The fact that the kids are handling it super, super well. They're working together, and their goal, is to be the most united room. And, it's like, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked a little bit before the show, talking about culture a little bit. I know you had one play in mind that you're like, that was a culture play. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So punt return in the second quarter, Jalen got the punt return on around our 10-yard line and made a bunch of guys miss, broke a couple tackles, and gets all the way up to the 30-something and, goes out of bounds deep on Arkansas State's bench. And one of the guys from Arkansas State butts him up way, in by their bench and by their coaches. And, most guys in that situation, and we were up, big already, right? Most guys would turn around and say something, right? Or they would turn around and smile. They'd be like, they'd give you something. He doesn't turn around. He doesn't even acknowledge the guy. He actually turned toward the field and sprinted off of their sideline and threw the ball to the official on the way by. It was like, you're not worth my time. I'm proving this. We're just going to keep doing this to you, and we don't have to tell you about it. And I think that is so emblematic of this team that Matt Campbell and coaching staff have built, and the leadership of seniors like Jalen, to not engage in something that wastes your energy or that doesn't bring value, to just go prove it again and again and again. He ran out on the field and the offense was ready to go take another drive to the house. And it's like, that to me, that's big time. I think that's the kind of thing that, when your leaders behave that way, you've got a chance to go far. And who knows what the season holds, right? But I can tell you this: it won't be for a lack of focus from this football team.
Yeah. Question for you: 22-year-old Ben Bruns runs to the opposing sideline, gets bumped. What's he doing?
I would do the same thing. Actually, honestly, I would. I would not have acknowledged it, because it's like, especially when you're in the position where you're putting it on somebody, it's like Matt coached us that way. And it's funny that, and we'll get to it a little bit, but I can tell you this. 19-year-old Ben Bruns was nowhere near as good as Trevor Burr, who is a redshirt freshman offensive lineman for us. 6'4", 315-pound guard. He played early in the game along with Jalen Travis on the left side. This is a deep and physical offensive line that's just going to keep getting better. Jalen Travis was a full-grown man out there today. There was a pass play where defensive ends rushing him, knocks his hands down, and puts him on the ground. And it's not easy to get a pancake in a pass, in pass protection. But I think the other thing that I really like about this football team, we talk about the power run game that Iowa State is doing right now. And so it's mostly gap scheme, right? Instead of reaching to the play side, we're blocking back, we're pulling guys around, and we're bringing tight ends to come fill. When we do that, there've been, I just think the guard play has been extraordinary. There was a play, we were in that stacked eye on the goal line, the second Hansen touchdown, where Barnett pulls and just trucks the middle linebacker, right? And it's a short pull. It's super quick. It's goal line. It's got to just be bang, bang, right? But he fits around that gap and gets a great block. And so did Moore. Moore was awesome. Tyler Moore is
I agree. Blocking and receiving game. He was unbelievable.
Fantastic. So, you got Steve O'Klotz, who's always accountable in there. You got Bramer, who's just a matchup nightmare in the passing game, right? And can run block too. But if you think about, the game that Moore had, I was super impressed. But, when you get that pin and pull effort working, then you can run front side, right? Or you can throw front side, and the defense has to stay backside. They can't They can't game it. They can't just roll to the strength of the formation. I think this Iowa State offense is super effective right now, and I'd say we've got ourselves an offensive coordinator too. So
what are your impressions on him through 3 games?
It's really good. I just think one of the things I like about it is the evolution of the offense within the construct of the same style of attack, right? You want to see your offense grow around a philosophy and not just try to pick things that might work, right? You don't want to be a schemer. You want to be, you want to have a basic fundamental. You want to have a scheme that is what you do. But if you're just trying to pick things out of the air, it's not going to work long term. And I think we have a really good combination of here's the little wrinkles that we have to have for this game based on opponent personnel, and then here's what our base philosophy is, and here's how we're going to attack you. And it's funny. Matt made an interesting comment. I obviously, because I was traveling today, didn't have a chance to be at the game, but I did get the chance to watch it. And so, for those of you that didn't watch the game, Matt Campbell made a super interesting statement at halftime saying that, it was his mistake that we threw the pick in the first half. And I remember, I'm like, it's an interesting, really interesting statement. Like, but I can see a scenario where Matt's like, hey, I want a deep ball. I want to try and trust this and do it now, right? And take a chance, right? And so, maybe that happened in the North Dakota game, right? I was critical of that play in that game. If that's the way Matt is thinking about things, like it shows you the strategic nature of at a big picture, like how we're thinking, and you can't hate that. You got to just say, hey, look, we're going to roll the dice right here because I want to crack this thing open. And man, any good gambler knows you got to put your chips in sometimes, right? So I thought that was a very fascinating statement, and obviously, we saw Rocco do so many good things, and if he's told to throw it deep, he's going to throw it deep, right? So
yeah. Let's flip it to the backups. It was, about a quarter and a half at least of 2s and 3s for the most part.
Yeah.
And it seems like Iowa State has their quarterback 2 in Moberly.
Man, can run it. Was great with reading the run and taking it. He threw it really, really well. He's poised. It's like, this guy can play, right? The pick was a great throw. Just, he didn't catch it, right? So, yeah, I was excited about that. And, for him to crack this top 2 spot is really an impressive thing given, J.J. Cole's pedigree and success and all those kinds of things. So I thought Moberly was great. I thought we have depth that is a little bit surprising. And you think back to, Matt talking about recruiting the last few years, right? And he has year after year said that this is the best class we've signed. And it doesn't look like that's wrong based on everything that we're seeing. You think about those D linemen we talked about earlier. A bunch of those guys are freshmen and sophomores, right? To have young offensive linemen, like, we didn't even talk about, the fact that Black is a true sophomore playing right guard at an elite level. It's like, man, there's some dudes out there playing football, and a day like today gives you an opportunity to just play more football and get more looks of those guys and get a little payoff for everybody who works hard but may not see the field on Saturday most days, and gives an opportunity to let your starters, get a little R&R. This is a deep and talented football team, and they're gonna, as they continue to get guys healthy, they're gonna be even deeper. I thought it was interesting. Matt talked a lot about competition after the game. being 7-8 deep in the offensive line. It's like, that's a good place to be. We've wanted to be there for a long time, right? I mean, I played a ton as a redshirt freshman because we had no choice. It wasn't because, I was an elite player. It was because we had no choice. And, now we got guys playing at a young age that are elite and don't just have to grow into it, right? So it's a good place to be. And I think super fitting for, Matt Campbell to get a blowout win on which have been few and far between as an Iowa State Cyclone for a long time, especially in these preseason games, right, where we seem to we've just handled this preseason extraordinarily well, and to come out of it 3-0 and to have Coach Ty, Mac's record. Is a neat thing. Dan McCartney did so much for us as guys, but also for our program, and to see Matt Campbell be poised to eclipse that mark, and it's super fitting because this has become a really high level program under Matt.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that. You, as obviously a player under Coach McCartney, we talk about this relay race all the time.
Yeah.
With McCartney laid the foundation, and Chiswick got the players, and Paul Rhodes got the fans excited.
Yeah.
And now Matt Campbell is here winning football games. Talk to me about how special that is as a former player.
It really is, and Aiden, when you put it in that context, and the way it's built over time, I just got goosebumps because, a whole bunch of us said yes to Coach Mack back when, there was no sure bet at all. Iowa State hadn't been good for a long, long time. Actually, it hadn't been good for a long time. And then it took a long time to get to a place where we were successful, going to bowl games and all that, right? And, but we all went to Iowa State to win championships. We went to Iowa State to turn it around and have it be different. And to see the evolution of it now where, it's this is a team that will compete at the highest level in the Big 12, for the conference title. To have seen, our team in Arlington playing OU in a rematch, right? That we're, 2 plays away from winning, when Purdy was a junior. And to win a Fiesta Bowl, right? It's like, whoa. So it can be done here. It can. And Matt's doing it the right way. I don't think there's enough that's said about how much money has been left on the table by the guys in this roster and in this locker room. If our viewers had any idea about the amount of money that was offered to many of these young men, and they've chosen to stay at Iowa State, you would be shocked. You'd be absolutely flabbergasted. And we talk about fans' rights and what and NIL's sort of weird era and all this stuff. It's like when a guy leaves $500,000 for a season on the table to play at a place that he loves, that's a big deal. $750,000, that's a big deal. Like, this is like change your life money, right? As a whatever in college.
Yeah.
That's the world we're living in. And that's the world this team is living in. And this team has chosen to be with each other, to be special at a place that you and I love. And, to me, that just says so much about what Matt and the team are doing, and the culture, right? And our fan base and our, so now, however it goes this year, whatever goes our way or doesn't, understand that these people are here for the right reason, playing football to represent your school, and they love it, and we know you love them, but understand that you know, they've left multi-year salaries, you know, on the table just to be able to play at Iowa State. And no one would have blamed them for the amount of money that they could have taken to go some other place, right? And it's not every guy, but it's a whole bunch of guys. And it's not to say that we're not doing our job as part of the collective. And you know, certainly we all have given a lot to continue to make Iowa State successful. But there are schools with much deeper pockets that have made big plays at our guys, and our guys are here. And I just think that says so much about Iowa State football.
Yeah. You know, they always said it was going to be tough to win at Iowa State, but they never said it was impossible. And here we are.
There you go.
Iowa State 3-0, heading to Houston next week. How do you stay motivated for a game like this? I know it's a Big 12 game, so you're going to be motivated anyway. But Houston, we thought they kind of turned it around, but then they come out Saturday, lose Cincinnati 34-0. Iowa State takes them on next week. How do you feel?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd be showing a lot more of the Oklahoma film than I'd be showing of the Cincinnati film this week. And, you know, Matt's going to have to talk to the team about what it's like to go into an environment that's no good, right? Because we're going to go into an environment that's no good. We're going to go into a place that, you know, I think is especially if we have some success early, we're playing a dangerous team with a quarterback who torched us a couple of years ago at Texas Tech. And, you know, they have the ability to come back if you get up early, even if the place is sleepy, even if the place is dead, right? You got to go play 4 quarters, and I'm sure it's going to be hot. And, you know, it's going to be one of those gut checks like Iowa State had in 2020 at TCU. And, you know, I think this team has to want it and fight for it every bit as hard as that team did in that moment, you know, coming off disappointment in week 1. I think that this team has to see this game as that sort of an issue, right? We're going to go fight you. We're going to punch you in the mouth. We're going to do it for 4 quarters. And there's no way you're better than us at the end of the day. That's how this team has to look at this. You know, and I don't care what's happening on the sideline. I don't care what's happening in the stadium. Just like Jalen did, running off the sideline after, you know, somebody tried to prove how tough they were to him. You know, don't care. See you on the next play.
Yep. All right. I think that's a good spot. Let's get out of here.
All right, man.
Ben Bruns, Aiden. Oh, go. You got something?
I got to say, like, I don't even – I got this night where I'm like, am I cheering for Iowa and Baylor? Like, ugh. I don't know, man. Like,
it's a crazy world. What has happened to us?
Right? Ugh. I don't know. The emotions will play out as they play out, right?
Right.
We'll see.
All right. For Ben Bruns, Aiden Wyatt, this has been Cyclone Sunday here on the Iowa Everywhere Network. Have a great rest of your weekend. We will see you next week here in the Channel Seed Studios on the Iowa Everywhere Network.